Well, Nicole, welcome to the Republic. Thank you for joining us for our round of school board candidate interviews.
Thank you very much for having me.
As you know, a large focus of BCSC and school district across the state is on the foundational reading skills for second and third graders. How do you think BCSC is doing in helping those students along, and how might you contribute to ensuring those students have the best shot at passing iRead 3?
Well, I think that BCSC has shown an upward trend in iRead scores the last 2 years, so I think this is positive. It is showing that a lot of the programs that we have in place are reaching kids, are helping them progress, are getting them to where we need to be, but we are not where we want to be. And several weeks ago, we did get an update from the team of people who are very focused on improving. And shortly thereafter, actually in the last meeting, they had made a proposal to hire some more literacy coaches. So that's one thing I think we need to do. We obviously need more resources focused on helping our kids with those fundamental reading skills. In addition, I think there are a lot of things that are going well and we need to enhance and expand. So I will give Book Buddies as an example of one of those programs that has been wildly successful. The data we got in that board meeting several weeks ago was that every kid who had a book buddy actually passed the test. So there's a really strong point that program is working. I think there's a lot that we can do to support teachers in their understanding of how do we teach a variety of students. And so offering professional development and additional resources to them, I think, is important. The role of the board, I think, in this problem, if you will, is really to listen to the people within the district that are kind of front lines with our students, understand them best, ask them what they need, and make sure that the resources that they request are available to them. So I trust that we have people that care very deeply about the reading skills of our kiddos.
Alrighty. This is going to sound like a silly question because I know that you've been around for all of this, but what are your thoughts on Envision 2030, BCSC's facilities plan?
Yes, so I am pro Envision 2030 and have voted as such in recent meetings. I think that there are a lot of reasons for us to make these investments, and I think the timing is perfect. And so, number one, this can be a tax neutral project for us. And so as debt rolls off, we add new debt to replace, and so we can do this with really no impact to the citizens of Columbus. I think the other reason why the timing is perfect is that we have an intense focus on safety and security. And in some cases, some of the ways that we're going to improve the safety and security of our buildings is by making necessary renovations to them. So that is at the forefront of the changes. I've also personally had an opportunity with my own kids travel to different school systems and see the resources that they have available, and I think we're behind. Like, there are some situations where I've looked at the classrooms, the sizes, the dating of the furniture, the STEM resources, and I think we can do better for our kids. So I think it's an important way for us to invest in their future. Lastly, maybe second to lastly, I would say that we are in a new era where people have a choice on where they live and work, and they can be different places. School systems are a huge reason that people join a community now. You can work virtually, and I think that we need to attract, and the school system is here to help attract and retain people in our community. We want to be seen as a destination, obviously. And then lastly, I do believe in the 12th elementary school. I think Southside is at capacity. I think some of the districting we've had to do to accommodate the growing population on that side of town is not ideal for our kiddos. I think it's time. We have had schools in that side of town in the past, many, many years ago, and it's just where the population is now. So I think that's the right investment for us to make as well.
Alrighty. Do you think that teachers are being compensated adequately, and what can BCSC do to improve retention, but then also teacher recruitment?
So I I will never say we pay teachers enough because that's a tough job and it's a very important job. And so, but I will say that I think that we are competitive. We, in our last contract, starting teachers are just over $50,000 a year. That's very competitive, especially in the state of Indiana. I think and it has worked in terms of retention. So in our last school year, we hired 60 teachers at the beginning of the school year. And in years past, that's been 100 or more. So each year we're having to hire fewer and fewer teachers because teachers are staying around with us. I think that we have, with the referendum's help, we have helped make their salaries competitive enough that they want to stay and work here in Bartholomew County. In addition to pay, I think the things that we need to do to retain teachers are things like the resources we give them, like our buildings, to make sure that they're adequate and support the kind of learning environment that will help them be successful. And then I also think that as a board member, our role is to also look at our policies through the lens of a teacher and make sure we're accommodating their needs, their voices, et cetera, as we make those. So those are a few ways that I would want to support our teachers' retention.
The board has devoted a lot of time in school board meetings over the last 10 months to the accessibility of certain library materials. Mm-hmm. Do you think BCSC has the correct policy in place for addressing these concerns, and would you like to see anything additional be done?
I believe we have the correct policies in place, and again, this is unique because I am a current board member, so I have supported the policy adjustments that were made last year, and I've also been a part of the book banning, I guess, if you will, or removal processes recently. We are meeting state requirements. Obviously, that's table stakes. That's where we should be. In addition to that, though, we already have policies in place that allow for parents who have restrictions that they'd like to place on their own child available to them. So parents can go to a librarian, they can go to an administrator, they can start with the teacher if they feel like there's some material that is inappropriate for their child. I think that's the right policy to have. We should allow parents to parent their children. I do not believe that we need to go further than that, segregate books, some of the other concepts that have been put on the table in terms of how to address this problem. I think the processes we have today are adequate to meet the needs of each individual parent, as well as allow our librarians to manage the content appropriately.
Alrighty, last one. In recent years, school board races and school board meetings themselves have become increasingly charged at times. Mm-hmm. How would you and how do you work with others that may not agree with you on a specific subject?
Yep. So how, as a sitting school board member, how I have worked with others, we've had various public work sessions. So as we make major policy changes, we do value input from the team. We do talk with one another on changes that we may need to make, and so that's a way for us to hear the voices and invite others into the conversation. You're also always available at board meetings before and after. I find myself talking with folks excuse me, by email. I've given people my phone number. You know, I think doing as much as you can to be individually available to a lot of times people I have found may not want to speak openly in a board meeting, but they are happy to have one-on-one conversations. So I think making yourself available, being approachable, and going into things with an open mind are the most important things we can do to ensure that I've got all the right inputs to make a decision.
All right, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you very much.